I'm playing around with some moves, some exercises to show in my pelvis pants. And as I was kind of moving myself forward towards the camera, I wanted to point out here an illustration that might be helpful for people who are looking for other ways to think about engaging and relaxing their pelvic floor. So the attachment points, the way that it's put onto the pants, it's almost as though like my sacrum is not on my belly here. It's almost as if you're looking through a vacant pelvis without the muscles and ligaments and organs to the back. So this is my sacrum at the back. There's the tailbone, the pubic joint here at the front, and then sort of underneath here would be the sits bones. So I'm just going to turn around here. So here's the sits bones, and here is the sacrum, and then that tailbone from the back view. So spine, sacrum, and then tailbone here. So that's another attachment point. I'm going to come back to the front now. If you can imagine those 4 points, pubic joint, tailbone, and the 2 sit bones, as sort of like a diamond shape almost. What I want you to imagine is when you're doing the contraction part of a Kegel exercise, I want you to imagine those 4 points almost drawing together and then sort of lifting up. So here you can imagine all those 4 points are kind of, the edges are almost drawing together in the middle and then lifting upwards. And then on the inhalation, there is a letting go and an expansion. So in that diamond, I have weird thumbs, so I can't totally do a diamond, but it's almost like the inhales are expansive, and then the exhales are kind of like the edges almost collapsing in on each other and then lifting up and in. So there's an expansion, a letting go, a widening, an opening, a softening that happens when you inhale. And then on the exhale, there's a muscular activation that draws those points together, and then imagine that they're lifting up into the body. And then on the inhale again, you expand and let that go. So I'm not sure if that's helpful, but give it a try. I'm going to sit here and do a set of them. I also play around with my position, my pelvis position, my leg position, the internal external rotation of my hips, to see where I may feel it better or worse, and that changes on a given day. And so here right now I'm sitting on my feet, my toes are pointed together, my knees are out to the side, and I'm sitting here in a neutral pelvis. So I'm just going to turn sideways for a second. And neutral is when the ASIS, so the top part of the front of the pelvis, basically right here, my ASIS or my anterior superior iliac spines, and my pubic joint are in the same plane. So you can't see where my fingers are, but I'm putting my fingers on my pubic joint and I've got them on my ASIS here. And I want to find and look down to see if they're in the same plane. If I was in a tucked under, so a posterior tilt, you can see how it flattens out my back. My tailbone comes underneath me. And now my pubic joint, you can't see again my fingers, but my pubic joint is out in front of the ASIS, so they're not in the same plane. So when I nod my pubic joint towards the ground to get them back into their same plane, I get my gentle curve in my low back again. And that would be my neutral. So it's neutral is an area, is a space. It's not an exact position for every single person, but generally speaking, the way that I guide people into it is to get the pubic joint and the hip bones in the same plane. And if I had something underneath me, say if I was straddling a bolster, I should feel my vulva on the surface of whatever it is I'm sitting on. If I'm in a tucked position, my vulva now comes away from the floor. So I want my vulva to be in contact So let's just say I had a bolster or a rolled up towel underneath me. I want my vulva in contact with that as opposed to, so right now it is, and my fingers are on the tip, like right by my clitoris. If I was to tuck, now it draws it up and away from what I'm sitting on. So right now my the very back part of my vulva would be on the surface of my sweater. This is what it is, but I want to nod the pubic joint forwards to bring it in contact. That also helps when you're doing your pelvic floor expansion and retraction. The in-breaths, the expansion, you can now feel like your vulva is blossoming. You can feel like your labia are kind of like lungs that are filling up with air, and they're adding some fullness onto the surface of whatever it is that you're sitting on. And then when you exhale, you feel that fullness subside as it gently draws up and away. So inhale, feel the fullness, and then exhale and feel that fullness subside. So give that a try. There's your pelvic floor lesson for